Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I am Teena Jha. Assam will soon see complete withdrawal of AFSPA. Also, the Supreme Court has sought the centre's response on re-examining the sedition law. And in neighbouring Sri Lanka, the situation is extremely volatile in the face of massive protests. The Defence Ministry of the country has ordered shoot on sight for the rioters. Every detail on these big stories of the day in just a while. But first up, the headlines. Insurgency in Assam almost over, says Union Home Minister in Guwahati. Asserts talks will continue for lasting peace. Assam police presented President's flag. On Rajya Sabha Day, Rajya Sabha Chairman expresses concern over increasing disruptions, lays stress on meaningful discussions in the House to strengthen parliamentary democracy. Hurricane Asani to weaken in the next 24 hours. Fishermen cautioned against going into the sea due to the possibility of heavy rains in coastal areas. 8 people killed in violent protests in Sri Lanka. Former Prime Minister Rajapaksa takes shelter in Trikonmali Naval Base. Santoor legend and music composer Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma passes away. The President, the Vice President and the Prime Minister express grief. A quick check now on some other stories that made news through the day today. Supreme Court allows sedition law review, seeks centre's response on pending and future cases. India achieves complete vaccination of over 87% of its adult population. Converged communication system to be installed at 230 railway stations in South-Western Railway Zone. The Delhi BJP writes to civic body, wants Delhi's Akbar Road, Humayun Road, Tughlaq Road renamed. Consult with states on identifying minorities within 3 months, says Supreme Court to the centre. India-Oman Joint Commission meeting to be held in New Delhi on Wednesday. Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav leads Indian delegation at COP15 on combating desertification. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extends greetings to newly elected South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol. Minister of State for Fisheries Dr. L. Murugan assures that funds won't be impediment in promoting country's fishery sector. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi pay homage to Indian freedom fighters in the 1857 War of Independence. Now the news in detail. The Supreme Court on Tuesday sought the centre's views on protecting the interests of citizens till the colonial-era law on sedition is reconsidered by an appropriate forum. The bench took note of the centre's submissions that it has decided to re-examine and review the sedition law by an appropriate forum. The bench asked the government to respond on whether there should be a temporary stay on the filing of sedition cases until it is reconsidered. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta said he will convey the government's instructions to the bench on Wednesday. The Apex Court is hearing various petitions challenging the validity of the sedition law. The other big story of the day, Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Tuesday expressed hope that the Armed Forces Special Powers Act will soon be removed from the entire state of Assam. The act has been partially removed in the state due to substantial improvement in the law and order situation and also peace agreements with extremist organizations. The Home Minister said the centre has gradually started reducing the disturbed areas under AFSPA in the northeastern states. He also said the day was not far when the entire state will be completely free from extremism and violence.
कि आसाम की महान भूमि से उग्रवाद के बुरे दिन अब समाप्त होने को आए हैं। उग्रवादी संगठनों के साथ देश के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हमारे युवा मुख्यमंत्री हेमंत विश्व शर्मा जी शांति समझौते एक के बाद एक कर रहे हैं और वो दिन दूर नहीं है कि आसाम के अंदर एक भी उग्रवादी संगठन नहीं होगा।
The Home Minister also honoured the Assam Police with the President's colour for exemplary service in the last 25 years. The flag bears the map of Assam, 36 stars representing the districts of the state, also a horned rhinoceros and the motto and insignia of the Assam Police. Assam is the 10th state in the country to get this award. The President's colour is the highest honour given to any military or police unit for exemplary service to the nation during peace and war. The Home Minister also took part in a plantation program on the occasion. And Amit Shah also praised the BJP-led Assam government for tackling the problem of infiltration effectively. He, however, alleged that the West Bengal government is not cooperating with the centre in dealing with this problem. Addressing a rally to mark the first anniversary of the Himanta Biswa Sarma-led government in Assam, Amit Shah said, Prime Minister Modi is committed to ending the problem of infiltration in the country. Listen in. Moving on, cyclonic storm Asani has reached the east coast and is likely to weaken gradually. Home Secretary Ajay Bhalla held a high-level meeting to review the movement of storm over the Bay of Bengal. The cyclone is triggering winds up to 105 kilometers per hour. According to the Met Department, the cyclone is moving at a speed of 25 kilometers per hour. Its speed is now increasing up to 5 kilometers per hour. The cyclone is centered 300 kilometers southeast of Kakinada in Andhra Pradesh and 510 kilometers south-southwest of Gopalpur in Odisha. The fishermen have been told not to venture into deep sea until Thursday, as there is a possibility of heavy rains in coastal Odisha. The meteorologists have forecast heavy rains in parts of coastal Odisha beginning Thursday. And this is what the director of the IMD, Bhubaneswar, had to say.
We have given the heavy to very heavy rainfall warning for tomorrow and today. Next 24 hours heavy rainfall warning in some districts of Odisha, mainly southern Odisha, Malkangiri, Koraput, Gajapati, Ganjam, Puri. Tomorrow is Gajapati, Ganjam, Puri, heavy to very heavy 1 or 2 places, and heavy Koraput, Raigara, Khurda, Jagatsinghpur, Kotok.
In the last 70 years, Rajya Sabha has played an important role in consolidating parliamentary democracy. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu said this while addressing a program organized in the Parliament House complex on the occasion of Rajya Sabha Day. Expressing concern over disruptions in recent sessions of the upper house, the Rajya Sabha Chairman said members should maintain the highest standards of discipline and meaningful discussion. He also praised the work of the officers and employees of Rajya Sabha in ensuring the functioning of the House, even in difficult times like the COVID pandemic.
We, the Indian Parliament, both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, we set many examples to the rest of the world. So being a largest parliamentary democracy, we must continuously strive to work hard and see to it that we maintain standards and show the way forward for others also.
Rajya Sabha Deputy Chairman Harivansh appreciated the work of the employees and praised the guidance of Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu in ensuring the efficient functioning of the Secretariat.
अगर सही मायने में सरकार की जवाबदेही को हमें लागू करना है, तो उसकी पहली शर्त है कि संसद एवं विधानसभाएं ऑटोनोमस तरीके से काम करें.
The Rajya Sabha Day event also turned out to be an occasion for the officers and the employees of the Rajya Sabha Secretariat to showcase their talents. We get you some glimpses from the ceremony.
मैं मानता हूं कि हमारा इतिहास गौरवशाली है और रहेगा. धरती और चांद की दूरी का अंदाजा लगाना मुश्किल था. सभ्यता जहाँ पहले आई, सभ्यता जहाँ पहले आई, पहले जन्मी है जहाँ पे कला
अपना भारत वो भारत है जिसके पीछे संसार चला और आगे बढ़ा, यूं आगे बढ़ता ही गया। भगवान करे ये और बढ़ता ही रहे और फूले फले, बढ़ता ही रहे और फूले फले।
Moving to some other national news. Chief of Army Staff General Manoj Pandey called on President Ramnath Kovind at the Rashtrapati Bhavan on Tuesday. This was his first meeting with the President after taking over as the Chief of Army Staff. Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia launched the Experience Studio on drone in New Delhi. He said by 2030, India will be a leader of the international drone hub. He also asserted that India has to lead the world in this field, for which it will need 100,000 drone pilots in the coming years. The Election Commission has announced poll dates for the 7 seats of the Karnataka Legislative Council. The notification will be issued on the 17th of May. The last date for filing nomination papers is the 24th of May. The ruling BJP currently has 37 members in the 75-member upper house of the legislature, just 1 seat short of the simple majority. The Supreme Court has directed the Madhya Pradesh State Election Commission to notify the local body election schedule in the state within 2 weeks. The court said unless the 3-trial process mentioned in the 2010 Constitution Bench judgment is completed, no provision for reservation can be made for OBCs. The court will hold its next hearing in the month of July. A rocket-propelled grenade hit the intelligence wing headquarters of the Punjab Police in Mohali. Window panes on the floor were shattered. Fortunately, no one was injured. Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann has directed an investigation into the incident. Security of important places has also been tightened across the state. The Northern Railway has introduced a baby berth on a trial basis on select trains. It is intended to allow mothers to get comfortable sleeping space with their babies. The Railways has installed a special seat on the lower berth for the women travelling with children. 4 Indians, including late photojournalist Danish Siddiqui, have been honoured with the prestigious Pulitzer Prize 2022 in the feature photography category. Adnan Abidi, Sana Irshad Mattu and Amit Dave have been honoured with this award. Danish Siddiqui was assassinated in Afghanistan in July last year. It was an extremely sad day for the Indian music community. Renowned santoor player and composer Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma passed away on Tuesday. He was the first musician to bring to us the notes of Indian classical music on the santoor. Let's bring you some glimpses of a few moments with the music legend. And it's time for a short break here. On the other side, in the coming 5 years, 1 year is likely to bring record-breaking hot weather. Details on that story and much more from across the world when the news returns. Do stay with us. Welcome back. News now from our neighborhood. Sri Lanka is currently in the grip of a massive unrest. Amid widespread protests since Monday, the country's defense ministry has now ordered the army, the air force and the navy personnel to open fire on anyone looting public property or causing harm to others. Embattled President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has urged people to stop violence and also vowed to address the political and economic crisis facing the nation. Here's a detailed report. Sri Lanka's former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and his family were flown in a helicopter to a naval base in Trikonmali on Tuesday. This was before thousands of anti-government protesters poured into his official residence in Colombo. Protesters also swarmed the entrance to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's office in Colombo to demand that he follow in his brother's footsteps and quit. On Tuesday, anti-government protesters shouted slogans against the president and rebuild the tents damaged in Monday's attack. A government decree issued on Monday night confirmed the resignation of Mahinda Rajapaksa, the Prime Minister. Violent clashes broke out in front of Rajapaksa's offices immediately after the resignation. His supporters hit the protesters with wooden and iron poles. The ambush by the supporters triggered immediate anger and chaos as people started attacking ruling party politicians. The clashes killed 8 people, including a ruling party lawmaker, and wounded nearly 200 on Monday night. More than a dozen houses belonging to ruling party leaders were vandalized, broken into or set ablaze. The over a month-long protests have drawn people from across ethnicities, religions and classes. The pressure on President Rajapaksa to quit comes in the wake of unprecedented economic crisis in recent weeks. Imports of everything, from milk to fuel, have plunged, spawning dire food shortages and rolling power cuts. Doctors have warned of crippling shortages of life-saving drugs in hospitals. The government has suspended payments on $7 billion in foreign debt this year alone. Bureau Report, Sansad TV. Senior journalist Dilrukshi Handuneti is joining us from Sri Lanka to tell us more about what's happening in our neighborhood. Ms. Handuneti, thank you for joining us on Sansad TV. So, an unprecedented economic crisis that we saw over the last few weeks, spiraling into a constitutional crisis, and now this massive unrest. So, Army, Air Force and Navy personnel have also been given shoot-on-sight orders. Give us and our viewers a sense of how grim is the situation and what triggered this sudden outburst from the protesters.
Well, as you know, the protests have been going on for over a month now. But yesterday it took a very negative, terrifying turn and took a violent turn. What happened was the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister who just resigned yesterday, did hold a meeting at Temple Trees, his official residence, along with his supporters. And there were some provocative remarks made there by another senior former minister as well. And subsequently, people emerged from Temple Trees itself and started attacking the protesters who were parked outside his official residence, and also marched up to Golface Green, which has become a veritable, very popular protest venue by now. So the clashes erupted, and eventually it has claimed 8 lives so far and caused damage to a lot of properties. And in that whole process, government politicians and those who are identified largely as Mahinda Rajapaksa loyalists have been attacked, and their homes have been attacked. And it's quite a grim situation here, because emergency. We are right now. We have emergency on, and until Thursday, emergency has been. There is a curfew extended up until Thursday, so it indicates that there are many incidents out there, and the law and order situation is not looking too good, and it needs to be brought down, brought under control as soon as possible. So it's very different to what Sri Lanka was like just 2 days ago.
Absolutely. The loss of lives is extremely unfortunate, and particularly the damage to property, the loss to the country in the face of this unprecedented economic crisis that the country had already been reeling under. Ms. Handuneti, what is the solution to this crisis, even though the embattled president has vowed to take care of the political and the economic crisis? But looking at his response over the last few months and the manner in which people have suffered, what do you think is going to pacify the protesters? Will he have to resign eventually?
I think I talk to protesters all the time, and I have a sense of what the ground reality is like. And if you think about what the initial cause for these protests, the whole target was the president himself. Protesters were asking the president to go home. The Prime Minister was another person in the Rajapaksa family, and we cannot also overlook the fact that the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, is also the most popular Sri Lankan politician, particularly within the Rajapaksa clan, and the fact that President eventually will be. I think the protesters are going to mount their dissent, mount more protests, and demand that the president also resign. There are many reasons for that. They also fault the president, particularly, for not managing the crisis well in advance. And now we have technocrats saying, economists saying that there was writing on the wall, and warnings have been always existed that we should have gone to the International Monetary Fund. long before we actually did in desperation in this April. And the negotiation should have started many months ago, and we should have reached some kind of agreement by now.
Certainly.
And it does take time.
Absolutely. So the situation at the moment extremely volatile in Sri Lanka. Ms. Handaneti, we hope the situation turns better and the people do not have to suffer anymore. Thank you very much for joining us with those details on Sansad TV and telling our viewers what the situation is likely in our neighborhood at the moment. Moving on now in the bulletin, let's now get you all the latest development from the Russia-Ukraine war, which even after 2 months is showing no signs of abating. A Ukrainian official says authorities found the bodies of 44 civilians in the rubble of a building in Izium destroyed by Russia in the month of March. The 5-story building had collapsed with the civilians trapped inside. Russia has been holding the city, an eastern Ukrainian city in the Kharkiv region, since the invasion in February. The Ukrainian military is also warning that Russia could target the country's chemical industries. The claim comes after oil depots and other industrial sites have been targeted by Russian shelling in the war. The military said the possibility of sabotage at the chemical industry of Ukraine, with further accusations of units of the armed forces of Ukraine, is not ruled out. Satellite pictures show 2 ships off Snake Island in Ukraine. The images showed one appearing to be a landing craft off to its east. Another was a ship with 2 smaller rafts near it. Ukraine has repeatedly struck Russian positions, suggesting Russian forces may be trying to restaff or remove personnel from the Black Sea island. Russian missile fire targeting the Black Sea port city of Odessa killed 1 person and wounded 5 others. The Ukrainian military's southern command made the announcement early Tuesday after a barrage of fire throughout the day. One struck a shopping center and a warehouse, according to the military. Ukrainian fighters are holding out in the Mariupol steelworks, and they said they were still defending the city. The head of the border guards in the Donetsk region said the fighters were doing everything to make those who defend the city in the future proud. In his video address, the firefighter said they include border guards, soldiers, national police, and also members of the National Guard itself. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un reiterated his support for Russia's efforts to defend its dignity against hostile forces in a congratulatory message sent to Russian President Vladimir Putin over an anniversary marking the Soviet Union's defeat of Nazi Germany. North Korean state media said Kim, in his Monday's message, praised Russia's victory in the Great War of Justice to destroy fascism, an apparent reference to the Second World War, and also expressed hope that the countries would further develop their strategic and traditional relations of friendship. And amid the relentless war, the UN's top human rights body will hold a special session this week to discuss the worsening human rights situation in Ukraine. The war has already displaced over 8 million people so far. Continuing with some other global updates from different parts of the world. The world is creeping closer to the global warming threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius. Meteorologists across the globe are predicting that there is nearly a 50-50 chance that Earth will temporarily hit that temperature mark within just the next 5 years. Here's a report. One year between 2022 and 2026 is likely to be the warmest. It could surpass the previous record set in 2016, which witnessed El Niño, the weather phenomenon that warmed sea surface temperatures over the equatorial Pacific Ocean. But then came La Niña in 2021 and 2022. It brought cooler sea surface temperatures and cooled down global temperatures. But according to the World Meteorological Organization, this impact was only temporary. The latest assessment is that La Niña of 2021-22 could decline, and the next El Niño event will raise temperatures as it did in 2016. The Paris Agreement had set 1.5 degrees Celsius as the point at which climate impacts will become harmful for the planet. the world was already warmer by 1.1 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial baseline in 2021. The WMO says that between 2017 to 2021, the chance of exceeding the 1.5 degrees Celsius annual global temperature rise has been steadily growing by 10%. And in the next 5 years, it will be nearly 50%. Going beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius could bring unprecedented natural disasters like the scorching heat waves that large parts of India experienced this year. While a single year of above 1.5 degrees Celsius may just be an aberration, it does expose the globe to a situation where 1.5 degrees Celsius could be exceeded for an extended period. Bureau Report, Sansad TV. And before we wrap up the bulletin, a quick relook at the top stories of the day. Insurgency in Assam almost over, says Union Home Minister Amit Shah in Guwahati. Asserts talks will continue for lasting peace. Also, the Assam police presented President's flag. On Rajya Sabha Day, Rajya Sabha Chairman expresses concern over increasing disruptions, lays stress on meaningful discussions in the House to strengthen parliamentary democracy. Hurricane Asani to weaken in the next 24 hours. The fishermen cautioned against going into the sea due to the possibility of heavy rains in coastal areas. 8 people killed in violent protests in Sri Lanka. Former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa takes shelter in Trichonmali Naval Base. Santoor legend and music composer Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma passes away. The President, the Vice President and the Prime Minister express grief. And that's a wrap on the News Tuesday edition from me and the entire team. Thank you for your time. Good night.